Hello everyone, myself Sujata. Hope you have revised all the previous chapters. In this session, we will deal with a part of first chapter from democratic politics. What is democracy? Why democracy? Okay, what is democracy? Democracy is a form of government where rulers are elected by the people. According to Abraham Lincoln, democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. Democracy is a Greek word composed of two parts. Demos means the people. Kratos means rule. So democracy means the rule of the people. Let us discuss about forms of government. There are two forms of government, democratic government and non-democratic government. Let us first discuss about democratic government. As you all know, democratic government is elected by the people. All the citizens have fundamental rights. Leaders rule within the constitutional laws and citizens' rights. Accountability is present. Example are India. Accountability means responsibility. Let us say what is non-democratic government. It's a form of government which is not elected by the people. It is either a dictatorship or monarchy. There will be no rights to the citizens. Leaders rule as they feel like and there will be no accountability for it. A dictatorship is a government ruled by one person known as the dictator or an authoritarian party. Monarchy is the rule of the king, queen or an emperor. Okay, now let us discuss forms of government that are clearly not democratic. The army rulers of Myanmar are not elected by the people. Those who happen to be in control of the army become the rulers. Dictators like Pinochet, who ruled Chile, were not elected by the people. The kings of Nepal and Saudi Arabia rule not because the people have chosen them to do so, but because they happen to be born into the royal family. A dictatorship is a government ruled by one person known as the dictator or an authoritarian party. Example, communist states like China, Cuba, Vietnam is in dictatorship. That is, a single person or an authoritarian has absolute power over the state. Monarchy is the rule of the king, queen or emperor. For example, King of Saudi Arabia, the present king is Salman bin Abdul Aziz. Queen Elizabeth II is head of state of the UK and 15 other Commonwealth realms, that is the region or domain. We know that democracy is the most prevalent form of government in the world today and it is expanding to more countries. For example, the Kingdom of Nepal was founded on 25 September 1768 and lasted till 28 May 2008. Last monarchy was abolished by the First Constituent Assembly and Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal was declared on 28 May 2008. The last monarch of Nepal was Gyanendra Bir Bikram. Likewise, find out names of at least 3 countries that has become democratic. We have started with a simple definition that democracy is a form of government in which the rulers are elected by the people. This raises many questions like who are the rulers in this definition? Which officials must be elected for any government to be called a democracy? What kind of election constitutes a democratic election? What conditions must be fulfilled for an election to be considered democratic? Who are the people who can elect the rulers or get elected as rulers? Does it include every citizen on an equal basis? Finally, what kind of a form of government is democracy? Can elected rulers do whatever they want in a democracy? Is it necessary for a democracy to respect some rights of the citizen? So, we have to find out who are the rulers in this definition, what kind of election constitute a democratic election, who are the people who can elect the rulers or get elected as ruler, and finally, what kind of a form of government is democracy. So, let us consider each of these questions with the help of some examples. Before that, let us understand the important features of democracy. In a democracy, the final decision-making power must rest with those elected by people. A democracy must be based on a free and fair election where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. In a democracy, each citizen must have one vote and each vote must have one value. A democratic government rules within limits set by constitutional law and citizens' rights. Now let us discuss why Pakistan under General Musharraf should not be called a democracy. General Pervez Musharraf led a military coup in October 1999. He overthrew a democratically elected government and declared himself the chief executive of the country. Later, he changed his designation to president and in 2002 held a referendum in the country that granted him a 5-year extension. What is a referendum? A referendum is a direct vote in which the entire electorate is asked to either accept or reject a particular proposal. It may be adoption of a new constitution, a law, or a specific government policy. Pakistani media, human rights organizations, and democracy activists said that the referendum was based on malpractices and fraud. In August 2002, he issued a legal framework order that amended the Constitution of Pakistan. So we can say that there are many reasons why Pakistan under General Musharraf should not be called a democracy. What amendment did General Pervez Musharraf bring in the Constitution of Pakistan by issuing a legal framework order in August 2002? We'll discuss about it. The President can dismiss the national and provincial assemblies. The work of the civilian cabinet was to be supervised by a National Security Council headed by military officers. Elections were held to the national and state assemblies. Elections were held, but the final powers rested with military officers and General Musharraf. Can we say that the rulers are elected by the people in Pakistan? People may have elected their representatives to the national and provincial assemblies. National Assembly is elected for a 5-year term on the basis of one man, one vote. And Provincial Assembly or State Legislative Assembly works in a state. Those elected representatives were not really the rulers. They cannot take the final decisions. The power to take final decision rested with army officials and with General Musharraf, and none of them were elected by the people. Real powers is not with locally elected representatives, so this cannot be called people's rule. They formally have an elected parliament and government, but the real power is with those who are not elected. This happens in many dictatorships and monarchies. So we can say that in a democracy, the final decision-making power must rest with those elected by the people. Now let us recap what we have learned in this session. We defined democracy, two forms of government, important features of democracy, why Pakistan under General Musharraf should not be called a democracy, legal framework order that amended the Constitution of Pakistan. Hope you have understood. Meet you in the next session. Thank you.